This is the 3-point line, and I'm John D. Reinhart. Today we're tackling the tanker, a tantalizing test of our 1-point detailing line strategy. Although you won't find this illustration on skippitywhistles.com, it's made in exactly the same way, using the same tools. If you like those illustrations, this is how they're made. We begin, as always, with a 960 by 540 point artboard in Adobe Illustrator. You can choose any size that appeals to you. This size works best on Skippity whistles. The illustration has 3 layers: the bottom layer with a simple borderless white rectangle on it, the middle layer with our photo of the ship on it, and the top layer with our artwork. We're going to throw a lock on the lower 2 layers so that we don't get anything misaligned. I use a fuchsia colored line so that I can see it against the varied colors of the original photograph. And it's a 3-point line because it looks good on Skippity whistles. And it allows us to use the 1-point line to capture details. That is a big deal today. So, the ship. We messed around with Bezier curves in making our Adirondack chair, but we're not going to be doing so much of that today. This image is nearly side on, so we'll be using straight lines to capture a long, industrially elegant shape. Now there's a nice Bezier curve back here at the stern, where the hull rises up out of the water. It always amazes me how just one line, or in this case one curve, can provide so much definition to the picture. These deck cranes are complex little guys, all kinds of buttresses and spiderweb cables that are just too fine to capture even with a 1-point line. This is where that heavy 3-point line makes our life easier. So down at the corner of F and YI, our ship is the SFL Sabine, sailing under the flag of the Marshall Islands. She's an Aframax tanker, a mid-sized crude oil carrier built in 2017. At a length of 820 feet and a beam of 144, she draws 50 feet of seawater when she's full up. Not today, Zerg. Now up here on the superstructure, these windows are a prominent feature and they deserve their own attention. We start at the bridge with the 1-point lines to frame the windows. This area really defines the demeanor of the ship. It's like putting your glasses on. The angles of these window frames up here, if we get them right, make it look like this portion of the bridge actually slants forward to reduce the ocean's glare on the window glass. Under the bridge, these little rectangular guys pose just a little bit of a challenge. If we make them square, they look out of place, but making them with the marquee tool is just so simple. In the end, detailing them with our 4 individual lines is probably the best route. Now the text up here, that's a little different. With most illustrations on Skippity Whistle, the text is a brand name or a logo. As we're not advertising anybody's product, I usually leave it off. But the text here is like a billboard, although you do have to wonder if the guys on the deck look up and go, "Oh, safety every day." Text is a different fish in Illustrator with its own set of mathematical rules. So we'll create a layer just for the text so that it won't interfere with the live paint function we'll make later. As it just has to look right and not be exact, we'll find a font that looks pretty close. We'll change the font's color to a softer gray, like a glass of wine, and, take the edge off. Now, I've been avoiding all this 1-point pipe work under here. There's so many valves and braces and pumps, it's almost impossible to tell what even looks right. So with all these drawings, I've found that you just have to pick a place to start and then go at it. These diagonal lines here, one thing we don't want to have is a million vertical lines right through this section. I'm going to look like a picket fence. These diagonal braces give us a chance to break things up. These little platforms here actually have railings and what looks like a little water cannon on it. Feels like a shame to obliterate these details, even with our 1-point line, but that obliteration elucidates a truth. Elucidates a truth. I went to college. And that truth is that in this scale, the 1-point line gives a better representation of the water cannon than drawing it at a 1/2-point line, which will simply not be visible once the drawing is done. Better to have a crude cannon than no cannon at all. The masts out here tell the same kind of a story. There are so many antennas and aerials that there's just no way to capture them. In the end, we'll remember that it simply has to look right. Now, I thought about leaving the ship's name off, but it is such a prominent feature, it looks odd without it. So we'll add that to the text layer. After making sure all the wee little lines touch one another, we'll use the live paint tool to join them together. We check with an easily visible color to make sure everything's in one piece, and then we set about applying appropriate tones, just like a coloring book. Now this wee little window up here doesn't want to play along, And that's because when you zoom way all the way in, you can see the lines do not connect. Using the direct select tool, we can grab the anchor on this line and drag it over that line. Now it's connected, and now we can color it in. Well, it took about an hour and 20 minutes to make this illustration, but I think the results are well worth it. If you like it, you could toss a like onto this video, which, if you like this, you could subscribe to. Visit skippitywhistles.com to see these illustrations at work. The link is in the description below. I'm John D. Reinhart. Thank you for watching this episode of The 3-Point Line.